And what was interesting is when I did this reading, first off, it was the story that was going into each of these cards and how they were being woven into each other. So what I did was I broke up this reading to represent the energies and the directions for the months of April, May, and June. So April will be the early part of spring, May will be the mid part of spring, and then, of course, June being the tail end of the spring season as we start getting ready for summer. So I did 3 cards for each month, and the top card, you can't really see it because I don't have a second camera. The first cards that I have to introduce the influence for each month is with the Witch's Oracle. So it's an oracle deck, and it has keywords of guidance to represent what's going on in a particular situation or what's going on within yourself. And so I decided to use the Witch's Oracle as the guide of influence in this reading. And then I use the Witch's Wisdom, which you can almost use like an oracle, but it is a tarot deck. And what I did is I used the Witch's Wisdom, pulled 2 cards to represent that month, and more of the backstory, like what is going on for that month under that influence of that particular card that was selected by the Witch's Oracle. So that's how I broke up this reading. So I'm going to do this reading by month, and I will see about time stamping it. So if people want to know what the energy is going to be like for May, I'll time stamp it for May, June, so on and so forth. So for this month, since we just entered the spring equinox this past Saturday, and also we moved into the sun sign of Aries, and we are starting anew in the astrological year with Aries. So everything's new. Everything is almost like aces, but aces in the fiery aspect of starting to get things moving. Things that we have prepared for over the winter months, things that we have looked through and kind of went internally through the fall months is now starting to create energy to bring out to people. And then summer months, because we're also, let me sidetrack here a little bit. This is also the waxing star of the season, because as quite a few of you know, I talk a lot about moon energy, its phases and the signs that it influences as the moon waxes and wanes and goes through all the signs and how those influences. So here with a new season, and we're starting with the element of fire. We're starting to build up. This isn't quick movement. I like to emphasize that quite a bit when it comes to the start of the year. Aries is influenced, and not influenced, but it's ruled by the planet of Mars. So Mars deals with quick movement, aggressive, challenging, confident, optimistic, very focused in how they want to get things done. And so, anyhow, I want to emphasize with this reading, I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear, there's scratching going up on top of the roof of my home. Very interesting. So this house is full of energy. So to get back, this movement, let's ease into it, because spring is just that. Spring is a transitional time of the year, as is fall. So we need to build up this momentum, and then as we go from spring into summer, and then as summer ends and we go into fall, we start slowing down the speed. So here we're building it up. Like I said, we're waxing, we're revving up the engines, but we're not really quite shutting out. And we have to be careful because we are coming from a time of hibernation. So we want to move slowly. Let's be kind to our bodies as it comes out of this transitional time of inner stillness. And now we're releasing. So let's just ease into it. So let's go right to it. For the month of April, ruling the sign of Aries. Again, as I mentioned, I'm going to be working with the Witch's Oracle to be used as our guiding card of influence for that month. And I will explain this because the Witch's Oracle has roots in Wiccan traditions, so the tools, the imagery may not be familiar with people, so I'm interconnecting the Oracle card with the Witch's Wisdom. Okay, so here, and this is the Witch's Oracle. This card is of initiation. So we're between two pillars. You could see this as a nice card of transition to start the month of April. As we start moving into April, we're still in our last week of March. We're still in the sign of Aries. So let's move things slowly, as I mentioned. And here, we're starting to see the connection, energy-wise. This is our deepest, darkest selves, the black part. You could say shadow if you like. And then here we're more in the watery realm, how we are connecting with our emotions, how we feel about them. And then here, how we are taking action with our emotions. Are we reactive? How are we managing our emotions? And then here we have yellow, the sun, that once we've gone through these realms of going to our darkest side, if you will, and just slowly moving up emotionally, these are like initiatory steps for us when it comes to revealing who we are. Okay? And as I mentioned, transitory time pillars of the white, the dark, light, and dark, going between these two realms and experiencing this. So for April, the initiation is after we've gone through this, and it's a process. We don't get to all of these levels, but as long as we're making attempts to move, I'm a key proponent of movement. We need we need flowing energy in our lives. We have to keep it constant, and it's just balancing that. So by moving through these different layers of ourselves and then finally self-revealing who we are, we're self-initiating ourselves by going through those different layers. And once we've gone through this, I'll show you the card again. Once we've gone through these different levels, doesn't have to be fully, but at least we're connecting. What are the steps? How are we going to express ourselves in a way that is aligned, in a way that is balanced? These are the steps that we are taking to reveal our inner selves. Self-initiating. Okay? We're doing this on our own, of our own accord. And remaining committed to this. Okay, so this is the card of guidance for April. Okay. And so then for the Witch's Wisdom, I have 3 of water and 5 of air. And one way I want to mention that you could break into these 2 cards, you could break them for an understanding of what the entire month of April will be like, energy-wise and just movement. Or you could break this up into parts, like maybe the early part of April or the later part of April. You can apply these cards. Again, it's a very quick read. but just to give a general overview. You can apply these cards to certain times of that month if you feel it works best for you. But the first card I did pull when working with the energy of the month of April is the Three of Water. And as we look at the interpretation too from this deck, I want to point out, is non-RWS related. There are some similarities, but again, when creators create their deck, they can follow this in the direction of the RWS system or create their interpretation of it. And this is what we're seeing here. So Three of Water we normally see with Three of Cups, where things are of community, exchanging and sharing of thoughts and feelings. Everything is feeling mutual. Here, we could sort of interpret this. The environment's very calm. It's very serene. We have three ducks, geese, waiting right here on the inlet, right outside of the water. And it's a contemplative time. Okay, so remember we have the initiation from the Witch's Oracle. And this continues onward here. I'm seeing more in this reading than I did when I did the live reading, so I'm pulling more information as I share this reading with you from my previous Ostara reading. So we have this contemplative environment. This again is for the month of April, for Aries. This, in a sense, we could say is non-active action. They're contemplating. This could be a card that can indicate planning, preparing. But we're in the realm of water, which is the emotions. We're really listening to how our feelings are towards what's being planned ahead or what awaits for us. We're thinking more from the emotional side, or feeling from the emotional side, and internalizing that. Okay, so we're still in the stages of exploring these different levels. But there's movement, there's an awareness of shifts that need to happen. But here we're seeing it in a very, very clear, calm manner. Second card that I pulled for the month of April. Okay, we've got fire energy of Aries. Okay, but here we're taking a different approach for April. We're doing movement, but we're doing movement more from within, and really being mindful of how we're going to approach the next situation that comes from us or to us. Next card I have pulled for April is Five of Air, or of Swords. Okay, so we see a very challenging scene here. We see strife, conflict, but there's a steadfastness that's in here. There's a responsibility factor that we're seeing here. And we move a little closer. We see the mother owl. Owl is of wisdom, knowledge. Using her experience and instincts to protect her young and also their environment where they live. Here we have, could be the male owl or just the protector out of the family that's taking that step forward very cautiously and just seeing what's ahead. Again, processing what awaits for us. But here, this is more of the mind. We're using right-minded action with the thoughts. Is it safe to stay here for this time being while things are a little bit more on the tumultuous side? This is just a safety net. This is a safety net of time. So for April, this is dealing a lot with following our instincts, which is a form of energy, but coming more at the spiritual level. We're connecting in April in such a way where the way that we interact with people and the actions that we take in various situations with other people has to be carefully monitored. It's like you're looking from the outside in, taking a wider perspective of what could be ahead and planning accordingly. And this you're doing of your own sense of self. You're building that courage. Again, going back to initiation, getting these energies connected, acknowledging, starting to realize what's going on, but you know there needs to be movement. You cannot be stuck in one area. There has to be that space to move forward. Of the mind when it comes to making choices, because remember, any choice that you make from the heart and the mind is going to affect the long-term outcome. So let's ease into April. With movement, with stability, but also with awareness. Okay, so that was for April. Let's show the cards again. Initiation, cord, the connection. All this energy and elements moving up and down. A bit Kundalini-like. Then the Three of Water, contemplative. Go into maybe an environment that is just a little bit erratic. Go into it calmly. And have compassion. And then with the Five of Air, anything that may be of a precarious nature, before you go into it, look at everything. Make sure you have protection and that you are guarded. May is a month of the earth element, of Taurus. It runs from April 19th to May 19th, but you can still use that month of May to represent that energy of earth and of Taurus. And Taurus are known to be very determined, set in their ways, similar attributes, but not exactly as Aries, very focused. But the difference is that there is more of patience and time when it comes to Taurus to get things done. So I'm going to share with you a card that I have here with the Witch's Oracle, the card of guidance to represent the influence for the month of May. And I have here the cloak. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the other card that represent April. So we have the elements here, we have the elemental energies here, and how we're working with them. And and connecting and putting these energies into action, activating them, working through them, healing and releasing and expressing. And here we see similar, but in this case, we're looking at the cloak, we're looking at camouflage. And camouflage is more of a protectiveness of the energy that has been attained and that's being held with great respect. And if you look carefully here, we see a crow or raven. It's the messenger. And then we have here, not quite the crown chakra, but just slightly above it, we see enlightenment. And here we have the wand, where we're seeing the growth. So we're seeing the tools here of energy that was worked on, that was initiated, worked on, created balance within. And you don't want to abuse these energies. They make up, all these different energy points make up different aspects of who we are. And when you work hard to create an alignment, an understanding of these energies, earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, you want to keep these protected. You want to have a shield, if you will, around these energies. You don't want anyone to tap into it, to try to manipulate it. You will protect this. And also, if you look here, the cloak is very similar to what looks to be the wings of a bird. And so we're using that higher spiritual knowledge that was attained. We're using this, the wings, energy of flight and the cosmos, to help us protect these energies. And we have the fox here. The fox is very witty, very smart. And you have to be careful, because this could be the aspect of someone trying to possibly tap into those energy sources to take away. But overall, with this card for the month of May, the Taurian energy of Earth being grounded and protective. Taurus is protective of anything that they've worked hard on, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual. If they've gotten to a place that makes them feel good and self-empowered, you need to protect that. And that's what we have here with this card, the cloak. And the cloak is also nurturing as well. It helps to give us warmth from any outside influence that could be jarring to anyone. The two cards that I pulled for the month of May, they're both water cards. The readings that I did here for April, May, June, overall, they're heavily water influenced. They're primarily water cards. So this is something to keep in mind as we go into these months of spring. Emotionally, let's take care of that aspect when it comes to doing things with work, ourselves, relationships, our aspirations. So for me, and this is the first card that I picked, and the same thing that I was saying for April will apply for this month in June. If you feel that you want to use these two cards to maybe break up the month, like to represent the first part of the month or the latter part of the month, you're more than welcome to do so. But this, again, is just a general overview of each month. So for me, I have here 6 of water. So 6 of water, this is, we're going into the realm of the emotions, not knowing what's there, exploring the unexpected, seeing what's there for us to experience and to learn from, and to take what is of importance, what is of spiritual nutrients, if you want to say, in that situation. 6 of water, discovering certain aspects of ourselves that we weren't aware of. And again, going back to using these energies. These energies, I just want to go back a little bit. These energies will always be shifting. There are times where they will be imbalanced. Some will be overbalanced. Some will be underbalanced. We're constantly working to align these. And here with the card, the 6 of water, we're exploring this. We're exploring any shifts, anything that comes our way, and see how it influences us. I have to jump immediately to this card, the 5 of water. As this is, of all the cards in this deck in particular, this card strikes a strong chord for me, because it does deal with environmentally what's going on globally. I don't want to go on a whole tirade about this, so I want to remain focused on the card. It's the resources that we have. And again, this is for the month of May. Taurus, Earth, this card speaks volumes specifically for this month. Working with what resources we have. Taking a personal check. This could be physical resources. This could be ourselves internally. Do a self-assessment and see if there are resources that need to be replenished, or some that are depleted. How are we going to regain those resources? What direction, what do we need to do to get access to the sources that we need? Okay, I'm going to turn this card sideways. You can see the outcome if no changes take place. And here's an example of working with these energies and not utilizing them fully. We didn't see everything for what it was, and the time to make these changes may have been too late. This is the reverse again. And the sources that we needed are no longer accessible. So for May, let's just pay attention. Here we're seeing a card that's full of abundance. This is a lighter card, a happy emotional card. Things that are there right in front of us, and experiencing it as it happens, whether it's a surprise or just being in the situation. Here, choices were made that really shifted literally the environment of where we are. And so we have to be, again, mindful. We have to be careful. Look at everything that we have. Make careful choices. And in this sense, environmentally, considering the ice caps being severely depleted, this is a card also of I'm trying to think of the word right now. This is a card of lack of responsibility. And this was beyond their control. Lack of responsibility in the environment that you're in, where people were supposed to work together and support each other, and it didn't happen. And then we start seeing this outcome. Trust becomes less. Support groups or a person that we thought we could trust can't be there for us any longer. So just be careful, and also just to be aware, just be prepared of anything that may happen. Look at your resources and see what needs to be replenished. That's what I feel for the month of May very strongly, especially with these two water cards and the environment that they're in, and protecting the energy that we have build upon. Okay, like I said, we're slowly moving into the spring season. The energy will start building up. You don't want to use it all at once, and you don't want to underuse it as well. You don't want to store that energy for too long because it needs to move. Energy doesn't move, it becomes stale, and it becomes of a disservice for you when you need it. It becomes stale. There's no life force moving in it. And so that's what we see here. We've got the life force of these energies. We need to protect it for our own well-being, for the earth, for our mind, physically, for our inner strength and confidence. It's very important. So that's for the month of May. Moving into the month of June, which is the sign of Gemini. The three energy elements we're working with is fire, earth, and air for each of these months. Fire for April, earth for air. No, I'm sorry, earth for stability. And then June, air, Gemini, for different ways of communicating, interacting with people, how we think, how we perceive things. So for the Witch's Oracle, the card of guidance for the month of June it's actually one of my favorite cards. It's the bat. And here is the rebirth and consciousness. And bats are known to be nocturnal creatures. They're also out in the day, but their energy is primarily strengthened at night. They have the sonar where they can hear miles away and to communicate with their fellow creatures. Sense of smell is very high. And it's interesting because at night, they don't see very well, the bats. So they rely on their sense of hearing and smell, highly acute. So when you really think about when your senses are taken away at night, like your sense of sight, everything else becomes more acute. So for people who are sight impaired, they really rely on their ears, taste and smell when it comes to experiencing things that are tactile. They become heightened. The mind gets trained to be more on top of the environment that they're in. And that's what we have here. But what's interesting is we're seeing a connection to ourselves and the outcome. Remember what I was saying here with our first card for April, initiation, connecting with these energies, moving them, bringing them out to the surface. experiencing the journey that you are going through with these different energy levels. We see it too in the month of May, but we're protecting. We're aware of the energy that we have, and we need to protect it and nurture it and keep it healthy. And then here for June, once those energies have all been interwoven and connected and manifest, we come out with a different perspective. Spiritually, we become more awakened to things that we see. Our spiritual senses become more acute. All our five senses, they're physical, but also spiritually, they have a different level of energy. When you have that awareness and things are lighter and you feel good and you feel happier, you enjoy things. Things taste better, things start smelling better, things start looking better, things start hearing. You start hearing things that are more appeasing. So when you get to that level of heightened awareness, all that shifts. And I'm going to flip this card around because here we have the lotus. The lotuses are opened, and we have the bat, the shadow of it, flying between the lotuses. The lotuses is of spiritual contentment. And it's that binding of all of those energies that we've been experiencing coming out to the surface. And it's a release. It's a wonderful feeling. It's that rebirth. So this is our card of influence from the Witch's Oracle for the month of June. This is our guidance card for June. By taking in these aspects of the readings that I've done so far, when we get into June, this is the potential. This is what could happen if you make some shifts within yourself. Mindful, protection, grounding, contemplative. So for the Witch's Wisdom, the two cards I pulled for the month of June, I pulled here 10 of Water or 10 of Cups. 10s we normally see, 9s are normally the completion of the journey. We are going through the elements or through the suits. And 10 is the next step, what lies ahead. And then we begin the cycle again. We go back to the Fool or we go back to the Ace, that particular suit or element, and we go through that journey again in a different situation or circumstance. So with the 10 of Water, we're seeing a lot of flora and fauna. Water, again, is the emotions, the intuitive side of who we are. Emotionally, intuitively, spiritually, things have grown. Things look healthy. We still have this shadow, curious side of us. There's going to be predators within ourselves. There's going to be a situation that's going to come around, and it's going to trigger this mysterious shadow side of who we are. And that darker side will be lurking. You can't banish the shadow self entirely. It's always going to be there. And the only thing that makes it come out is a situation that triggers. That triggers that fear. And you're kind of looking like the panther here. You're just kind of looking at everything, being cautious. But overall, the environment here that we're seeing for the month of June, and again, Gemini is the element of air, how we communicate. And this could be emotional communication, but at this point, it feels like with the bat, spiritual awakening, communicating with ourselves. I think June's going to be the month that we really feel more attuned to who we are. And this is our environment. This is how we're feeling on the inside. Okay, we still have that curious shadow side that will be there. But overall, things feel good. And emotionally, you're ready to take on the next experience that comes to you. Because spiritually, you've reached that level of confidence and self-trust and self-empowerment that you can move on ahead. Unlike the Taurus, the month of Taurus, we're seeing protection, how we utilize our sources, how we utilize what we have. That's going to determine what's going to happen in June. And with the month of June, like I said, with the card of the bat, rebirth and consciousness, and the 10 of water, emotionally feeling fulfilled, being aware that, there's that darker side still there, but we're in a good place. And then the second card I drew for June is strength. And this is a great way to end the spring season in the month of June, because of the journey, the buildup that we did from April to May into June. If you work through these steps and apply them to everyday living for each month, ultimately June, this is how the outcome can be. We make these choices. So here with strength, and as you've probably noticed, the Witch's Wisdom card is heavily guided through nature and also the will of the self. You don't see it in all of these cards, but Mother Nature, the respect that humans have, or the disrespect, shows in this card, and how we can look up to these sources and use them for guidance in so many different ways. The Strength card is a perfect card to harness the outcome for that month of June. We have all the animals of support here. We have the hare, we have the fox, there's a skunk, we see the ram, the fox, the owl, the badger, the snake. She's actually wearing the wings of a bird. So there's no bird there, but the wings are of her. And it shows that connection and respect that she has for that spirit. So there's the strength that we get through this whole process. The endurance, primal energy, our animal instincts. We made right choices. You may have stumbled a little bit, but we kept going. Remember what I was saying at the beginning of this reading? Movement. Keep moving, exploring, taking the challenges, the hits, and taking the triumphs that come from it. This can be a wonderful outcome for yourself. So for June, we're seeing strength and awakening of the spiritual self, and taking that into the summer solstice and into those summer months of June, July, and August. And I will be doing a reading for that as well when the solstice comes in June, which I think is the 21st of this year. So I will be doing a Wheel of the Year reading. I'm going to try and do one for Beltane. It'll be short, because Beltane just represents one day, but it's still the energy that can usher us a little bit deeper into that month of May. So overall, emotionally, there's a lot of journeying, self-awareness, challenges, but it's that endurance to continue onward. Being contemplative at the beginning, being still, assessing what's ahead. Going into ourselves, experiencing what's there, the unexpected or what is there, or ready to connect with, and taking what we need that is of great importance to us. And again, resources. Very important. This is for me. And then June, Gemini. Emotionally feeling full. Our shadow side is still there, but it's not prominent. We're feeling in a very harmonious state at this point within ourselves. And everything's flourishing within us spiritually. And then we have the strength. Just a beautiful card to end that month of June. I really like it. So I'm going to leave you with this card for the month of June to end this reading. It's the reading for Ostara, the spring equinox, to welcome in the spring season of the months of April, May, and June. And again, I will timestamp these so you can look at them by the month and just kind of reflect on the cards and my interpretation of the energy and the actions and the directions that need to be taken to make that month a little bit more of balance, of action, of awareness, and of emotional acuity. So I hope you enjoy this. Any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Again, I will do a similar reading like this for summer solstice in June. I'll probably do one for Beltane. I'll see. But this will be something seasonal that I will do for each year. And we'll see how the transitions go from each season into the next. Alrighty, thank you so much again for watching. Appreciate your support. You can reach me through all the social media that's in my description. I do readings. I'm happy. I enjoy doing readings, as you can see. And all that information, if you're interested in booking a reading, is on my website. And of course, any questions, please let me know. I'd like to hear how everyone's doing. I like to communicate. I'm pretty open when it comes to stuff like that. So be kind to the practice that I have here and the practice that you could be working on and building. Give yourself time, just as I'm giving myself time as I go through my own journey and practice. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I look forward to connecting again soon. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.